So I'm Tammy Crandall with Aug.2025 Travel and Tours and Link Real Estate, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Rebecca Denise with Superior Storage and as well as Link Real Estate.
And we are here to serve you so we can help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And what that means for each and every one of you can be different. It could be that you want to paddleboard for the first time. You're wanting to take some new education so you can do something adventurous.
Buy an investment property.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, the opportunities are endless and can only extend as far out as your imagination goes, right? As I mentioned earlier, I'm with Aug.2025 Travel. And, part of traveling for us is creating amazing experiences for people and memories that last a lifetime for them. The kind of trips that you'll be talking about.
Forever.
And yes, for many years to come. Many of these trips are in the form of solo travel, but there are many that are also in the form of groups.
Love groups travel.
That's right. So we are going to focus today on groups and all that can be done, the benefits of that, and more. So without further ado.
Question for you. So how long have you been working on group travels?
Well, unofficially since 2009,
Okay.
Officially since 2012, and that's when I went and got my travel certification.
Perfect.
I started out as an independent travel agent with Cruises Inc. That's kind of how I got my start. I was side hustling that for a while, and that transpired into the full-time dream job that I have today.
I mean, I know I did a group travel with my daughter and her husband and my kids, and then the extended family on his side.
Of course.
And there was like 40 of us. So it was a great experience.
Oh, sure.
So I think it's something that people should look into, especially for family or friends or bridal parties, school, high school reunions. I know they've done that in Connecticut. So there's a lot of different
there is.
options.
There's such a variety, and sometimes people hear the idea of group travel and they cringe from it. And
they don't want to be with that uncle that bothers them at Thanksgiving.
Well, or it could just be that girl they never got along with, that they work with. They like the idea of traveling with maybe some of their coworkers.
Yes, that's true too.
Or that sort of thing. But, group travel sometimes can be as small as 5 people in a group or as large as several hundreds of people in a group. But what people don't also realize is that group travel, sometimes when we make reference to that in our industry, there are advantages to group travel pricing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're traveling with a group, but for example, because we've done group travel for so long, then we have set up groups in advance that will hold pricing for our clients, prospective clients, so that way they can take advantage of the discounts and the amenities that may come with group pricing.
And then other people could add on.
Yes, and other people can add on so they can take advantage of that, but they don't necessarily feel like they're traveling with a group. So they could travel maybe with their, I call these their pod. Right? They got their
little
pod,
people, their little village. And then
that's exactly it. But at the same time, like I said, they can take advantage of some of the amenities and things that come with group travel. So we're going to go over some of that today. We have done quite a number of items or things in group travel. So
how far in advance should they start planning this?
Well, realistically, for group travel to have the greatest bang buck or benefit, they really should be traveling this, planning this type of thing anywhere between 8 to 12 months in advance. And that's because then we're able to take advantage of, one, the current pricing.
Okay, that's good.
And a lot of times this group travel, people are going to bucket list destinations.
I know. And there's a lot of logistics that you need to plan for anyway.
Well, there are, and not only that, but sometimes we get a group leader, and they're all gung-ho about it, which is great. their budget may fit within a certain scope, so they could technically stroke the check and pay for it all tomorrow.
Okay, right.
But they may be traveling with other members that aren't doing that sort of thing. Like maybe their budgets are a bit tighter, so they need to have the opportunity to take some time to pay, make a deposit, make payments over time. So those are the types of things that we're looking to help people
and that's
with.
an advantage, you know, especially if it's your first time or you're trying to get the whole family there, to have that time to pay, you know, it helps everybody.
Well, and you know, we have some funny little things that I'll share with you, but sometimes the intricacies of groups people don't think about. You know, so for example, you have family dynamics. You mentioned you had 40 people all traveling together. Well, if you have one person who is spearheading the group, they could be a group leader, but it really is important for them to have someone who is separate and away from them to help with the planning prospect of that.
Yeah, it's a new set of eyes.
Well, not just the new set of eyes, but believe it or not, it's privacy and family dynamics. So it could be that someone in the family or that group of friends has been using a CPAP for months and they don't know that.
I get
it. It's important to be able to navigate that for someone on the back end, and they may not want their family to know they've been using a CPAP for months. They don't want them to worry. You know, it could, and I've seen wedding groups are the most fun because you get a wedding group together and you've always got one in the group that says, let's go ahead and I want to be right next to my sister. I love her so much and I haven't seen her in so long. I just want to be able to have this fun time with her. And then I speak to the sister and the sister says, don't you dare put me next to my sister. She drives me bonkers. In fact, if you can put me on the other end of the ship, I would be so happy.
My family.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So then I can make up something, you know, so that way the family dynamic is not
you're
harmed
managing
anyway.
all the personalities.
They can blame it on me. I'll take the blame of, you know, I'm sorry I only had so many rooms
Timmy
on this
didn't
side.
put me next to my favorite sister.
Right, exactly.
And the favorite sister's like, shoo.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
Yes,
that
yes,
does,
it was. So, you know, so those dynamics we have, and I brought some pictures that I'll share throughout, you know, our presentation here today, and it's really, you know, just to kind of bring things together. Sometimes people imagine, okay, so group travel is all ships. Okay, that's not the case. It's not just, group travel is not just for being on ships. So it's a great place. Ships are a great place to start for groups, especially if you have people who have limited incomes. They prefer something that's more packaged and you know, and has a variety of eatery options and show options or no show options.
And some people just want someone else to plan it all for them.
They do.
That would be me. The meals are done. The pool's always going to be there. I could see a show.
Well, like I said,
we it's
plan.
A fun way to travel.
It is. You know, I personally am not a person who likes to travel solo. I've tried that.
I'll be the solo one.
It just feels weird to me. Like, I don't like sitting at a table by myself. Like, I feel like I got to do something to make myself busy, you know, if I'm sitting there. And so it's just awkward for me. But at the same time, I know I'm not the only person out there who's like that. So even traveling, couples who like to travel maybe aren't comfortable just traveling with just the two of them. You know, so I've traveled with my husband solo, and it hasn't been so bad. But the trip is very different with him than it is, say, with a group of people. So that changes the dynamic too. So the reason I brought that up is simply so we can kind of talk out. You could be hanging out by the pool. This is actually a picture of us on one of the ships that we went on, and of course it's quite a number of years back. But we were just hanging out, letting the breeze go, letting the breeze go. And but some of our great pals that we've traveled with for a long time. This particular picture is actually in Iceland.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they actually have an Independence Day, just like we do here in the U.S., and they celebrate that in June. So one of the great things is when you're working with an advisor or consultant like myself, then you can actually work your trip around something like this. If this was something you wanted to see, and that's
you build it off that highlight, and that's great.
You do. So we can take and build specific trips based on destinations or a special event. If you're going to a FIFA event for soccer and doing that type of thing, we can actually arrange that. If you're an avid golfer and you want to be able to go to England or Ireland to do these types of things, we can actually work trips around that as well. This, believe it or not, is in Denali, Alaska. This is a hiking trip.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, so being able to get on and off the ground, they do a lot of small group trips. So those are the types of things too. You don't always have to cruise to Alaska. You can actually do some land tours to get you right inside to the land that they have, or you could work with it in conjunction. With a cruise that you may have arranged. And this, of course, is whale watching, Juneau, Alaska. You can get to see the Mendenhall Glacier. You can do that.
What a sight.
I know. You could do that via the ship, or you could even
That's a bucket list trip.
Or you could do that, believe it or not, you could do that via Kodiak, or you could do that via kayak. So you could literally be in a Kodiak that holds approximately 8 to 20 people, and you're out on the water, you're not on the ship, so you're up and close to what this monstrosity
would be amazing.
Of a beautiful creation
right there, a kayak
that God has given us, right?
Oh yeah, listen, that's just magical.
So we talked about some inland trips. This is a prime example. This is in Zermatt, Switzerland. And,
that's another beautiful.
And some fun facts. There are a lot of towns in Switzerland that are foot traffic only. There are no automobiles allowed.
You know what? That's awesome.
And they have some very limited transportation areas where they can bring somebody in like a small Uber style.
Right, to the point of where it starts.
Right, to that particular point. But the reality is their train system there is just unbelievable. Unbelievable train system in Switzerland.
We need more walkable areas in general, as society grows and change. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, well, so a lot of these excursions and things that we put together for groups is they have, group walking trips, whether you're going through their downtown area of Zermatt, in places just like this, or you're going to go higher up into the mountain itself. And this is just a snapshot of the Beau Rivage. It's one of the hotels, but look at the view of the Mendenhall Glacier here. Is just being able to see something like this. And I'm sorry, this is not Mendenhall Glacier. This is the Matterhorn. Okay.
But know what's great about it is someone like me that I know I want to travel. I want to see Hawaii. Alaska's on my list. My son, Switzerland's on his list. You're bringing more to the table than just booking.
Right.
The idea that we try to look online, it's not telling us the whole story.
Right.
And where you could, showcase some of these breakouts or expand the itinerary based on what we wanted. And
well, I mean, even
down
that's
where the value comes in too.
If you're a foodie and you know that in each of these stops that you're going, because you are a foodie,
I'm a foodie,
that you want to be in, Michelin chef rated restaurants. And you know that this is not a place that you may ever see again.
Yeah, it's like once in a lifetime. That's the bucket list.
Those are the types of experiences that we can prearrange for you, for a small group, for a larger group. We just need to know those things in advance and nugget that down. And, the sky's kind of the limit.
And, when we talk about, the intent of our show is for everyone to have their most abundant life. This is what we're referring to when we talk about abundance. It's not, collecting the wealth and the material things, based from a faith base. It's the abundance of living life. And I want to go to every single one that you just shown. So I got to work hard. But it is. It's seriously. It's the idea that you're bringing it all together, the knowledge.
We do.
And that's someone like me that wouldn't even know where to begin. I just know I want to go there, and someone needs to make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's where when you know that you're going with a group, even if you just have a general idea, sometimes people think they have to make a decision up front about where they're going or what ship they plan to go on or what specific destination. But in reality, instead of making yourself dizzy, and I know I've said this in the past, we're big on telling people through our agency that we cure vacation vertigo, and that vacation vertigo is caused when you go online and you're not sure what you're looking for, and you're trying to find the greatest thing, what's the deal that you can get, and then you are fighting pop-ups the whole time because everybody's trying to win your business.
Yes, then you're in email jail because you get 1,000 emails.
Yes, and you're not even sure at that point what you're looking at. So
what's even true and viable. There's so many scams out there, and that's what you don't want to do.
Right.
You want to speak to a travel agency. You want the expert that understands it, but you certainly don't want to book a trip online.
Oh yeah.
I just think it's just too much risk.
Yeah.
And especially since if you want to go Hawaii, let Tammy, work on the itinerary and transportation and things that we don't know because you have the experience.
Right. And I don't want to discount. I know that there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who like to do the hunt and peck. And if that's something that you like to do to kind of narrow down in your head what it is that you want to do, specific ships or ship types or specific destinations, by all means take the time to do that if that's what you wish to do, but then bring it to me so I can determine, are you getting a fair price? Are you getting everything that you can possibly get
that's a great
in that
idea
package? Another thing to bring up shortly before we break is really to show that sometimes groups, beyond what we call an affinity group, is a group that has something in common. So it could be that you all go to the same church. Okay. It could be that you're all part of a knitting club, or you all like to play chess. You may be a scrapbooker, or
like that gentleman we had on the show. He does Thanksgiving on the ship, and they redo the pilgrimage.
Yes,
that was exciting.
That's right. That was fun. Every year he would dress up.
Yeah,
he and his significant other, they would dress up like pilgrims, and he would he was a history teacher in his past.
And there's
books.
A cruise for that.
Yes, and so there was a cruise for that, and they had taken the same cruise line every year. They were very familiar with them, and so they had got permission from the cruise line to dress up in their pilgrimage stuff and then greet people in the dining room and kind of give them some history.
And they loved it.
It was really, really good.
Exciting.
So that's the other thing you could do. Maybe you're a person who's really into exercise or fitness, or maybe you're a fitness instructor and you specialize in a certain type of fitness. You could literally lead a group on the ship. We could arrange for you to do certain fitness classes for your group while you're on the ship, in different places. It's just a matter of planning. It could be that you want to do yoga every morning at sunrise on top of the ship. Those are things that can be arranged.
Or you could watch yoga from the top of the ship as they're in the bottom.
That's right. That's true.
Hello.
That's true. You could.
The best of the best.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. So there are many, many things to choose from. The other thing is there are many providers, vendors that we work with that also can help you with fundraising. So if you are trying to raise funds for a specific organization, and awesome. We can work something into the pricing, so every person who's going, part of what they're doing is being donated. But a lot of times our vendors and suppliers will do somewhat of a match, whether it's like $25 for every reservation comes back from the cruise line, but also $25 is coming from your person. So every time you book a room, that's $50 that's that's going towards your organization.
What a great way to give back. And, you know, I mean, somehow we should be giving back with service or in kind. But that's also a great opportunity.
Well, I mean, the reality is, you know, when you are doing fundraisers, part of the reason for that is it takes money to do things.
Absolutely.
You know, for the organizations that you're contributing to, whether it's raising funds to feed people, or in the case like, you know, because we work with DDS for vets.
The veterans.
Yeah, so we're working with veterans. We're trying to raise money to get another service animal. Those are ways that can be done. So
and it's important.
So that's just an example. But we're going to leave it right here for now. You know, with this beautiful Matterhorn picture. I've got a much better one. I couldn't find it this morning. I want to share you.
We'll take that.
But I can get you in accommodations close enough to be able to see the Matterhorn.
Perfect.
And I've had some. The last one I set up accommodations for. Literally, she opened up her balcony and there it was, the whole Matterhorn. It was just amazing. She sent me a picture. It was amazing. But in the meantime, we're going to take a couple-minute break and we'll be right back.
Journaventure Travel and Tours, where it's about your journey, not just the destination. Picture a world full of amazing places yet to be discovered. Where do you begin? Whether your bucket list includes cruising in the Caribbean, exploring vast nature in Alaska, or experiencing exotic worldwide places, we're here to help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. Your journey begins from the moment you let go and let us handle the details for you. So call us today. Journaventure Travel and Tours, 772-882-3165.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rebecca Denise from The Bucket List Show with my co-host Tammy Crandell. As we said, the whole idea of the show is for all of us to live our most abundant life. And we were talking about group travel, which has fabulous benefits. And my question to you is, I know we did talk about savings. Is there a minimum that you would consider a group? Is a group 2, or how do you start with that for a group? And then can you build on to it?
Well, I mean, we can. It really depends on the supplier's type of trip. So sometimes a group can be as small as 5 people.
Okay.
It really depends on the supplier. I would say most cruises on average, if we're doing it as a cruise group, we're looking at a minimum of 8 staterooms typically. That doesn't mean, and this is just my disclaimer, because a lot of times what I'll do is if I'm planning a group far enough in advance, I'll arrange a group to put it in.
Okay.
So they can take advantage of amenities that are available. Even if we're only booking 5 rooms in there, many of the cruise lines will still guarantee the amenities that we're applying to the group.
If other people decide to come in.
Right, if other people decide to come in. But I don't necessarily have to make those other people part of their specific cluster of their group. I've done groups within groups before.
Okay, I got it.
So it's just a way for them to kind of, you know, we got a discount or we got special amenities like an onboard credit to our stateroom, and that cluster gets it, and then the next cluster can get the same thing. So that
group really could benefit other customers that you're serving. And then, so when it comes to the cruise, will you help with all the excursions? Like if I'm doing a walking thing in Switzerland, or you know, want to see something that's prominent in Switzerland.
Yes. So I work with a couple of really great providers that have great reputations for that type of thing. And it really depends on what countries you're going to as to what providers I choose to use for those excursions, you know, and really what the client's flavor is. And what I mean by that is I've taken and I've worked with suppliers that have that stuff all wrapped up in it and it's included. And I've worked with suppliers where I've literally grown it from the beginning. Every hotel room, every transfer, every flight, every excursion, every experience they've had on that trip was planned by hand.
Oh, good.
So, and that works well for someone if maybe your dates are limited, or your dates don't fall in line with something that, for example, Globus might be doing. They're one of the providers that we utilize. Tauk is another, Trafalgar, or any of those types of companies. They all have wonderful packaged programs, but their dates may
Right.
not align up with what the client is looking for.
So the other advantage, from a customer's perspective, is you're going to personalize this trip
Absolutely.
for me or
Absolutely.
the customer. So even though the cruise may have A, B, and C, she's going to be able to find the out stuff that we want to find. And then let's just say I want to take a land trip, and I want to go see the Ireland castles.
Right.
Is that something that you could also help with an excursion, even if it's land?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And I've done that.
Okay.
Where we've arranged the excursions, whether it was something that was completely private, so they got a private car, and a private driver, or they could be on a tour bus, either in a small group format, which is usually 14 people or less, and then a larger or coach style format. You got to be careful sometimes with some of these excursions that you go on when you go to other countries, because if you want to make sure that you can get off the bus, that you can that you can step out of the vehicle, and that you're not just driving on by.
It's like whoosh.
Yeah.
Well, there goes the Ireland castles.
You're like, there was the castle, and you said goodbye. And I'm sure if it, I can't speak for others, but for me, if I'm traveling to Ireland and my goal is to see castles,
I want to see the castle.
I want to see
Touch
the
the castle.
I want to kiss the Blarney Stone.
Yeah.
I want you to hold my feet so I can bend over backwards and kiss the Blarney Stone and just do things like that.
But it's there's another reason, even though we're laughing or being silly, but you really do need a professional. I know when I went on my cruise, we did some private excursion, and in hindsight, I was like, geez, we got into someone's car, then we got into their boat, and they took us out somewhere, and then we went to a lunch, and we went to somebody's house, and I'm like, phew, but we were safe. But imagine, because I didn't know any better.
Well,
now I know better.
Well, most interestingly enough, really most recently is what I meant, is we just had someone who came back from a trip in Europe, and we arranged like the bones of the trip, but she was insistent on arranging all her own excursions.
Okay.
Well, she walked herself to death. In like Portugal and those things. Tough. And so she came back with a very hard lesson, and that she didn't realize how intensive those particular treks are. I mean, we live in a state, and especially if you are Floridian, we are flat here. We're on a sandbar,
We don't have those hills.
So we don't have hills and, mountains and those things. And if you don't...
Or stairs.
Well, that's it. Or stairs, hardly. Exactly. So, so the lesson that gave her was, maybe I should rely on you guys next time to help me with those excursions, so I know how intensive, because those are the things that we look at as well.
Yeah.
What are the special needs that people have when they're going on these trips? What accommodations need to be made? Are they going to need to have assistance, whether that is getting out of their car to go fly somewhere, getting out of their car to board a ship, and then disembark or coming off the plane. All of those things are prearranged, but we also do a lot of fun stuff too. So some of the fun stuff is we can arrange dinners for the whole group. We can arrange some special things. So
it's exciting. And you definitely need to have someone who understands, how you're traveling and your needs and things like that. You just don't want to be wandering in the woods and you don't know where you are. That would be me.
Yes, that would be me.
You don't want to miss the boat.
And then my bus has left me. Right?
Or the ship will leave. So there is a lot of details that you do want to.
Mayan ruins are a very popular thing for people to go see, but they don't even realize that there are a total of 27 ancient Mayan ruins.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and they run from Mexico all the way down into Honduras. So when somebody says, I want to visit the Mayan ruins, okay, well, which ones?
Yeah, I didn't.
You,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah. There's 27. So you
Yeah.
you have that intel that we don't have.
exactly. Maybe you want to visit the London Tower Bridge,
I know,
and
isn't that beautiful?
and those things. It's always so beautiful.
That's on
lit up
my
at
list,
night.
too, yeah.
You know,
Reminds me of Switzerland. That whole right when
yes.
you're
Well,
there
the
too.
architecture in
Yeah.
areas of Europe is
beautiful.
just amazing.
So different than the States.
Exactly. So, you know, sometimes people will look at a bridge and say, well, it's just a bridge. Okay, well, then they're not interested in that, you know,
so
but there are other things they might be. They might want to be inside of museums. They
Can you go into the towers?
You know, that's a great question that I can't answer.
Okay, sorry. Forget I asked. Someone does, because there's a light on.
Yeah, I can't promise you won't have like a personal escort with, you know.
Yeah, the way out.
With billy clubs on the way off of it. Yeah, no,
That's
I can't
okay.
promise that.
Still beautiful.
But this gets you close into market areas and where the Grand Ferris wheel is and all of those things.
No, it's
close
perfect.
to areas that are not far from theaters and that sort of thing. This particular area is actually in Lake Como, Italy. So, you know, you get to areas like this.
Look how beautiful that is.
The sightseeing trains that they have that, you know, run through Milan.
How exciting that is.
Yeah,
That's
beautiful.
just gorgeous. Yeah, I could
You
live
know.
there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then, of course, you know, the Sistine Chapel via the Vatican Museum is always a popular place.
Yeah.
But the real question that I have for people when you're taking tours such as these, you know, they have some very strict guidelines about how far in you can go, what pictures you can take. You know, a lot of times you see things in movies when you see something like this, and you see people taking pictures all over, and you know, it's not always that easy.
Okay.
They have some restrictions on those things, and then also just to get in, because they've got to control. You know,
Yeah, you don't want, you know,
I mean,
protect
the
the whole
buildings,
architect, everything.
well, the buildings in and of themselves are an artifact in their own right.
Yeah, they're historic.
So, so they're not just going to let people, you know, a barrage of people into the building at one time. So they got to control that. So when you go on these types of excursions, you've got to ask yourself, do you want to arrange it yourself and end up in a very long line that is wrapped around a building that you are standing in for 2 hours to get in? Or do you want to hook up with someone who knows how you can get in that building first?
Right.
Or can you get in that building after hours and have a private concert and lay on the floor and take photographs of the ceiling?
Yeah, that would be me.
So the experiences that you can have can be quite different
And
if they're arranged proper.
Yeah, and again, you know, I know I keep on saying it, but it's just that little bit of insight that will make the trip glorious.
Absolutely.
Really, and you know, I mean, these are just so historic and beautiful that you want the time to appreciate it.
We talked about those Ireland castles, and you see these things.
Beautiful.
This is not something I want to drive past.
I know.
This is something that I want to get
wish we could
inside
just
and
hear
take a
the
look.
whole story, like have ears from the past.
Well, and that's
Beautiful.
the great thing when we work with excursions. There are excursions that you can go on to see castles such as these, where they basically provide you with a headphone and it plays something for you. Or you could go on excursions where you have someone who is so vested into the local culture that they're like, hey, come close. I want you to hear what it is I want to tell you about the castle. And so they're, you know, you're listening with your own ears to the very person who knows all about that destination, that's specific.
That's exciting.
Well, you know, on the fun side of things, we can do this too.
Hanging at the pool,
Hanging by the pool, chilling out. You know,
making new friends,
taking you know, your Instagrammable
your
moments
selfie
and putting them on you know, social media, and or simply going to a place like this, which is the Buckhart Gardens out in Victoria, Canada. So,
peaceful.
And what a lot of people don't realize, these are places you can visit when you get off the ship.
Nice.
In Canada. And people don't even
That's
realize
beautiful.
that
It's
that's
God's
something.
country.
So, you know, so people are so used to doing round trips, Seattle to Seattle, and it always does a stop in Vancouver, and then you can arrange things. But maybe the next time you're in that area of Alaska and you're considering sailing and maybe doing some tours in that area, why not make your final stop Victoria, BC instead, in British Columbia? Because then you have all of these wonderful places that you can stop in and take your time in before you have to fly home. So
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, so those are the types of things. So if you have a party of people, if you want to have some things included for your party, like photographs, if you are, and I'll just use this as an example too, if you're in Italy and you want to give it a theme, maybe your theme is you want to be there at a time when runway is really popular, you're into all of that, and you want to be in that shopping district and be part of that hustle and bustle that takes place in those areas. Those things can be arranged. It could be that when you go to Rome, and I'll never forget this, I was working with a family that was planning a trip to Rome.
Nice.
And the parents wanted to make sure that their boys, the two boys there, had some input to the trip. So we asked them, what type of experience would you like to have in Rome? And the 9-year-old said, well, we're going to Italy. I want to, is there a place we can learn how to make pizza?
I was going to say pizza door.
And it was the funniest thing, because literally from a kid's mind, that was the first place
you associate,
and surprisingly, yes, we were able to arrange an experience for the family where they could come together. Not only were they able to learn how to make a traditional pizza in Italy, but they also learned how to make tiramisu. So that was
They'll remember that forever.
Exactly.
And that's priceless. That's awesome.
It is. So the experience. So some things to think about when you are looking to put a group together is think about how many days you're wanting to be away, whether that's via cruise or via land tour. What destination do you want to be the hub for that? If you're traveling to Europe, I mean, we're spoiled here in the state of Florida. We've got multiple ports that we can just drive to. But when you're traveling to Europe or going to Alaska or Hawaii, anywhere else in the Tahitian Islands, New Zealand, Australia, Japan is a hot item today. You go into those places, you're going to have to extend your trip a little longer for flights, and not all flights are direct.
Right.
So you've got to think of that. If you're planning on going via cruise, do you have a preferential cruise line?
Right. And those are the things that you'll help. So if someone wanted to start today, how would they contact you?
They could simply call me via our business line, which is 772-882-3165, or even call me direct via cell, 772-579-9536. And then they could contact me or take a look at what we have. And we've got a QR code up on the screen that'll take you right to our website. We've got a group trips tab. Again, remember I said earlier that you don't necessarily have to plan a group. We have groups that we're always adding to the list that we've prearranged, so that we've got areas that they can take advantage of the discounts.
So they can become part of the cruise and get those savings.
And get the same savings or discount.
I think I want to go on every single one, so we'll have to figure that out. But the idea is that you see all the options that a travel agent could bring to the table with the excursions and the savings, and the idea that you get to plan it and then you can configure it as you're going along and all those things, and it makes it an easy, great way to travel.
Well, and it does, but I also just want to make sure that I add this to what we do for groups.
Okay.
And that is, beyond putting the groups together, we can build flyers for you to share with your family. We actually provide registration links that are encrypted and secure, so they can provide their information as well as down payment information. We do that. We can arrange whether it's for your family or it's for an HOA group. We arrange presentations a lot of times with a supplier representative so we can talk about what they're going to experience. And then as well, sometimes we can provide them when we do a meeting like that, whether it's a cruise night or a brunch that we've put together for them. Sometimes the supplier is willing to kind of give us a bonus
Nice.
for getting them to sign up that day.
Perfect.
We do that a lot with HOAs.
And
So
that's what you want to have.
Yes.
So thank you for that. So again,
You're
I'm
welcome.
Rebecca Denise with Link Real Estate and Superior Storage. So be kind, everybody.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.